Today on What Went Wrong, we talk about why even if you don't give a you should. Hi, I'm Brett Mauser. I made over 30...
40.
I've made over 40 feature films. And some of them I didn't take very seriously, and those actually wound up kind of being some of the most
Right.
popular ones.
And then some of them you forgot. That's why you thought you only had 30.
Exactly. Wish I could forget. But first, since this is your first time on an episode, this is Jake Getchmanek, one of the Ponders Productions producers. I'm glad to have him here and to talk about the hell and war zones that were Ponders Productions films. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Oh, okay. Gee, where do I start? I just started working in film. Only done a few things. Ran across a
Craigslist
ad for Brett. He's looking for some people to play vampires in a club full of vampires. And when we showed up, he didn't have as many people as he expected, as one of those situations. So of those of us who showed up, we each got a featured scene with a vampire killer. So that was pretty cool. And we sat there and did our little scenes, and after it's over with, Mr. Mauser said, "So, what do you think?" I go, "About what?" And he said, "You like working with us?" I said, "Yeah." "You want to work with us again?" I said, "Sure." And then I slowly wheedled my way into the Ponders universe, and it's probably one of the greatest things I ever did, because my years with the Ponders universe, the final years, with doing the Innocent Saga, the 10 feature films in 1 year, that really... I learned a whole lot through that. It was better than paying to go to film school. I learned so much working with this man. So, yeah, before that, bouncer for 27 years, worked for the Austin Police Department for 3 years, truck driver, and I've done just about everything you could think of.
I think after that club fight scene, which I'll talk about in just a second, but after that, I think you were in Ballerina. You were
Right. I was
was
Mongo.
Mongo? Was he Mongo?
Mongo, let's go.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
It was Mongo and Ballerina, and I got killed, but not until after I finished my creepy little scene with Matt's daughter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that guy needed killing.
And then, and then we moved over to, and then that's when you became Diamond in
Diamond
in Innocent Killers, and that was supposed to be just a oneer, just a one-time character, and then we wound up, as things happen as they do on set, we evolved that character.
It evolved, and
well, and I think throughout Ponders history, I think you have one of the most memorable and most cheered deaths, not because of who your character was, but just because when Jade shoots you in the Innocent Killer, and the shotgun blast blows you back. Jeff and I have talked about that, but when that happens, even as unrealistic as it is, people get so many cheers. They love that him being thrown back.
And then and after my 3 deaths, I became an immortal character. Mm-hmm. And that's why Diamond made it all the way through the year.
Well, I was thinking about in chapter 10 of the Innocent Saga, I can't remember whether you hit Ruby or Ruby hit you or Montoya with that big oxygen tank or the big compressor. Yeah! Well, when we were shooting the project 2 or 3 years ago, we were at Hanson's place again, and he still had that. So we used that. So 10 years later, we used that exact same prop to hit a character named Worm. So that was still around.
I don't think Worm took it as well as I did.
No. She went down pretty fast. But in terms of the club scene, here's a lesson for people to learn about redundancy. I'm a redundancy, especially now. When we were shooting on tape, we could always just take the tape and put it on a shelf, and it would be there forever. Now, because we're recording on cards, and the cards aren't pretty expensive, we shoot, dump it, and then we go. Now I have 2 hard drives per movie set aside because of all the stuff that we shot that club fight scene is one of the very, very few, if not the only, that has been lost.
Oh no.
And I remember because I did transfer it because it was on tape, and we shot because we did a lot of reshoots for the Bad Mojo project, and the fight was one of them because I always hated the fight in the original, and we did some other things with Rose and Lilith back in her Japan days, which built the characters a little more. And it was all done in one day at that club. And I transferred it. I know that I transferred it and had it on my hard drives. And and then through the Ponders breakup and everything like that,
Right.
some tapes got lost, and that was one of them. But even to this day, once a year, I go through all of my hard drives in storage to see it's got to be here somewhere because I have that raw footage that I never edited.
The tape wasn't even in that huge bin of tapes that you told me to throw away, and I never did. Wow.
No. And there's still, out of that big bin, there's still like 20, 30 that have gone missing. I mean, because almost all the Barrio Angel stuff is gone except for a few. And then there are a couple tapes here and there that I'm, because I've captured all of that stuff now. All of that stuff has been digitized. But and that's one of them that got away, that just disappeared, and it breaks my heart because there was so much stuff in there that would have made Bad Mojo Project so much better. Right. But what happens. So my recommendation is to always back up and always have that redundancy. So now after the Innocent Saga, we blew off some steam with a movie called Serial Rabbit 3. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, was that your first EP position, or were you?
Yes, that was my first executive producer.
EP, your first EP.
And you surprised me with that. It wasn't until after it was done that I found out that I was executive producer, which is probably a good thing because that's probably why I did a better job on it, because I had no idea. All I was doing was trying to keep pressure off of you, have everything lined up for you, so all you had to do was show up and shoot instead of come in and bitch at everybody. I came in and pre-bitched, and that's why a lot of people cry about it. Little crybabies. Anyway, and so I just wanted it to come out really well, and I think that's the one and only credit that my oldest son has in the Ponders universe. He's held boom at the day of the concert, remember?
Yes.
The rave?
Yeah. We'll talk about the rave here shortly, but the beginnings of Serial Rabbit was the original Serial Rabbit, and we shot that. I wrote the script in one night and shot it in 3 or 4 days. I think 5 days, and I didn't take it seriously. It was just, let's just get it done.
Right.
Let's just do this. And you never know which one of your films is going to just take off. And Serial Rabbit was one of those ones that just, people really love. Now there are some reasons that the original Serial Rabbit was pulled and no one ever saw it after a year or two. But now I actually have one of the new crew re-editing it, and we're going to take out some of those really, really offensive, stuff that, it's not that I'm afraid of being offensive. It's just, even me, I was like, really? But since I didn't care, I just let it happen.
Right. It's a different time now.
Yeah. But, and then when it came around to just blow off some steam after Innocent Saga, which I always, which is one of the funny little things I always tell is, for 20 years I was writing the Innocent Saga, 1,000 people, we put our blood, sweat, and tears into this movie, and it doesn't go anywhere. We make Serial Rabbit 3, which is just blowing off steam and a stupid movie about a serial killer bunny. That gets on Netflix and goes all over the place.
Still our record premiere.
Yeah.
That we premiered.
I think we sold
ended
out
up
3
with,
theaters.
Yeah, 3 theaters. And 2 showings in 1 or 2 of those theaters.
Yeah.
Also. So,
Yeah, that's right. We had a couple doubles.
yeah. So it was really great.
But that movie's been reviewed, and that's how we found how we met Jonathan McLean, Movie Mac Reviews, and he wound up becoming a big part of us. He came down for Blow a Kiss. He was Dead in Serial Rabbit 5. Because he was such a big fan. So, even those movies that are just sort of like throwaway movies can wind up being.
See, I always sat there. I said, this is a great movie. I said it over and over. Oh, nobody's watching it. Brett, look at this email I got from this guy. He wants a copy. Really? Oh, wow.
Which brings us to the name of the show, What Went Wrong. Now, I'm gonna give you what I think what went wrong, and then I want to hear what you say. Now, looking back, I think it's exactly what it should be. Aside from maybe using a better camera, spending a little more time on lights here or there, there's really not much that I can complain about. The level of acting was exactly where it was supposed to be. I mean, I remember telling Will, who plays Harvey, he's like, "How do you want to play him?" And I remember telling him, "Look, I want you to play this like a Sesame Street character thrown into a horror slasher film." And he hit it out of the park. That's exactly what we were looking for.
I've got some tricks up my sleeve.
Everybody that played different characters, they all played exactly they were supposed to play. I think what went wrong was not our fault, and that being Netflix. And when Netflix got it, they put it under slasher horror.
Right, and it should not have been there. It should have been under cult comedy.
Yes.
Or even horror comedy, because that's a funny ass movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's hilarious. And people who were looking for, they would see that and they would be expecting that slasher film.
Right.
So you're looking at those big fans of slasher films.
Right.
Going into that movie expecting that that's what they're going to get. And when they don't get it, they're going to ream you on the reviews.
Exactly.
Because they were sold a bill of goods in some ways.
But we didn't have any control over the classification they put it
Yeah.
under. Otherwise, because we'd talked about that many times, we're in the wrong classification.
Yeah.
It's killing us.
Yeah, and to me, that's what I feel hurt that movie a lot. And there are some people that were one in particular that was in Sierra Rabbit 5 that actually slammed Sierra Rabbit 3. And it was like, well, people aren't watching Sierra Rabbit 5 because they go back and watch Sierra Rabbit 3, and that's just so bad. And I'm looking at them and I'm going, the only difference between Sierra Rabbit 3 and Sierra Rabbit 5 is the camera. It's the exact same, almost the same. I don't want to say the same storyline, but
No.
almost the same. The same comedy, the same style. And to do, to try and. It's one of those things where actors will just, because they're in it, it's such a much better movie than the ones that came before.
Right.
And whatnot. I'm very proud of that movie, and I am. And to say that nothing went wrong on it, I can't say that. The one thing that which has kind of grown. It's tough to say whether it went wrong or not, but because we used it to one of the main points in Sierra Rabbit 5, and that being that we never got blood on the suit. And that being because we shot out of order and we couldn't wash the suit. We didn't have
we really
multiple
needed to
suits.
have about 15 or 20 suits to do that movie gory,
Yeah,
because magic.
yeah. And in Sierra Rabbit 5, the rabbit did get some blood on his suit in the very first scene, but fortunately that was later in the movie, and we did have actually 2 different suits at that point. So we
Right.
could, crap, okay, well, we gotta just rotate this one out.
I don't want to be the rabbit. I don't want to be the rabbit.
Brad played the rabbit throughout most of Sierra Rabbit 3, but it was the big dance scene. It was the big rave
Right.
scene. And now one of the reasons that I wanted that scene to begin with was because in the original Sierra Rabbit, it was supposed to, the whole movie revolved around this big ass rave that everybody in the city was going to be in, and then like 3 people showed up. So it was the crappiest rave. So I said, I'm going to do this right this time. So the Sierra Rabbit 3 party, or the concert with Jada Estrada, was for me to be able to finally do that rave scene from the first one right.
Right.
And you stepped into the rabbit. Was that the first time you were the bunny? Was it that?
I believe that was because of the rave. We didn't have Brad, and hell, I don't think I even knew I was going to be the rabbit until a day or 2 beforehand. But it was great, and I think the scenes all came out great. Not just because I was a rabbit, but I think I did a pretty fair job of.
Oh yeah, no, you didn't know. It was
Portraying
great. I mean, that's still
So-
that's still a great scene. For one of the favorites of the Sierra Rabbit franchise. That scene was maybe 10 minutes long in the movie. It was a decent
Yeah.
length scene. music video and whole dance
Right,
sequence.
with the music video and all the people getting killed and having an actual crowd. I worked my butt off on that.
And no doubt that rivals the Day of 1,000 Mercs
Right.
from Return to Innocence. From the start, from choreography all the way down to calling cut on the last shot, that was all one day, right? We didn't.
Right.
That wasn't a weekend. That was one
we
day.
did everything in one day, and you called me and said, "What time do I need to be there?" And I said, 10:30. That'll work. Give us time to get a little choreography done. Jade showed up earlier, and just in that morning, he taught all those dancers on stage. They worked that whole routine that morning, and that shows how good a choreographer he is.
That's very artistic.
Well, now I'm gonna shift over to probably the worst experience you've ever had on a Ponderous.
Oh my God! Oh,
Woo!
I don't name any names.
There's never been a time where I've been perfectly fine and okay with my boom operator looking at the ground the entire time he was holding boom. Now, this is what went wrong. I've said from the very beginning that feelings be damned. We have to tell the stories of the backstories of these films and get them out there and explain. It's gonna piss people off, but there's things we've had discussions that do not paint me in a good light on these things. I had somebody who I had an accountant who for years had been begging me, just begging me to do a nude scene. Well, not me to do a nude scene, for her to do a nude scene. And I kept pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off. And here's the reason why when someone comes to you asking you, hey, could you do this? Could you do this? Could you do this? Just don't do it. And I don't, for any reason, because when you do give them one, they're going to come back with something else. And but if you go to somebody and offer them, hey, what is something that you always wanted to do? That's different, because then they, then they're not as, oh, I got one on them, So Sierra Rabbit 3 came up, and I was like, okay, I relented. I was like, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this right, and we're going to make fun of the genre. We're going to do. So I put her in the very first scene. And it was the nude scene.
Come on, big boy. Let me peel your carrot for you.
Well, not totally nude.
It
Topless
was
scene.
a topless scene.
Yes.
It was a topless scene. Talk about subverting expectations. When you put on the cover, boobs, bloodies and blood, everyone's going, boobs, boobs. Ah.
They got them.
They got them.
There were 3 scenes with boobs, and we started. Well, we ended with the best.
And it was one of those things where I felt so bad about the opening boobs. Well, we got to give them some nice boobs at the end.
But we started off with Scarred. It's like we were in Vietnam together. The 3 of us that were there. Well, the 3 of the crew members that were there. We were all scarred from that.
Brad, and Brad was the bunny. And Brad, anyone who knows Brad, has ever seen one of these with Brad, knows that Brad is... did not say 3 words in that entire scene. So the reason I say is to when someone comes to you begging to let them do something, don't, is because as soon, I think we were even on set.
Yeah, we were on set,
With
and
her
they started
husband.
asking for more.
With her husband in the same room,
Lord.
pushing and looking at you and constantly saying, I want to do a love scene with Jake now. And just kept on pushing and pushing. And that was one line I wouldn't cross. I had too much respect for you.
Well, that or it was a death threats I made.
So be aware of that. But yeah, so some people would say, well, is that what went wrong because that's all the boobs you could get? Well, no, that was supposed to be. That was the point of it, and I think that comes across pretty well, with the way the bunny reacts.
We shot the whole thing in less than a month. And then premiered it a month after that. Wasn't it a month after that?
Yeah.
We premiered it in
February,
February.
wasn't it?
Yeah. The biggest thing that hurt us was Netflix classifying us wrong. Because everyone that I know that's seen that movie has loved it. While it was available on Netflix, people were watching it. So
Yeah, and I remember some, because some of the Netflix reviews, and the thing is about reviews, especially for small independent films, it's funny because especially like on Amazon, that they'll slam you on Amazon, and then you click on the little icon or the review,
Right.
and it goes to all the things that they reviewed, and the only thing they've ever reviewed in their entire existence on Amazon is our movie, and it's like, really, you're telling me that just somebody random out there?
yeah.
So there's a
That's-
lot of
that's the
haters and a lot
haters.
of people who,
Right.
who we work with or who are here in town who will go and slam. And one of which being somebody that we've talked about in this episode has gone on and slammed us. And I know it's her
Right.
because of the things that they write. One of them even went in there. One review was about how the investors, and it was on Netflix, and they had this long, huge paragraph about how it's no wonder why the investors are suing the production company, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, first of all, what investors?
Yeah.
Second, what money? We had $180 for that movie. So it's people
What?
trying to stir things up, and
Have you received a lawsuit?
no,
Yeah.
no, because we had no investors. There was no.
There is no lawsuit. Just flat out lying. And the shame about that is there are people who believe it.
Yeah, of course there'll be people who believe that. Yeah. So if you're making a film just to blow off steam, just to have fun, you're not taking it very seriously, understand and realize that may be what becomes what you're known for. I mean, Serial Rabbit, the original Serial Rabbit
Right.
was made for, again, no money in a few days and because I lost a bet. Serial Rabbit 3 took a little more seriously, had some fun with it, just really did stupid stuff. And then Serial Rabbit 5 took very seriously, had a great time with that. It was wound up being a great movie, and now he is the mascot of Not So Sane.
Oh, really? I hadn't noticed that
He's going to
yet.
start, but yeah, we haven't really pushed for it yet. But a lot of our marketing campaigns and everything are going to have him in it.
Well, he does pop up in a lot of places.
Yeah, a lot of places he shouldn't. Hi, I'm Brett Mauser, and I wrote the book on how to make a movie with no money. And here it is. See, it's got pictures and everything. So head on over to our website, notsosane.com, and get your digital or paperback copy today.